Our final panelist is Fred Elbel from Denver, and he's going to be discussing alternative methodologies to analyzing numbers.
Do you know how many undocumented immigrants there are in the United States? Well, I would guess maybe 100. And the reason is because an immigrant is somebody who is lawfully invited into our country by our government, by the American people. Those who are not an immigrant are here illegally. They are called illegal aliens. The Department of Homeland Security estimated in 2003 that we have 8 to 12 million illegal aliens coming across at the rate of about 700,000 a year. These official estimates are somewhat suspect because, after all, they're produced by the very entity responsible for the tidal wave of mass illegal immigration, the federal government. I will present an alternative methodology that produces more realistic estimates of the number of illegals in the United States. It consists of 4 steps. First, estimate the total number of illegals coming into the United States and those who get away, those who avoid apprehension. Then apply this getaway ratio to the total number, and that results in the overall number of illegals who enter and evade apprehension. Factor out, number 2, factor out repeat apprehensions of the same individuals who come across repeatedly, and factor out legalizations of those who stay here and become legalized to become United States citizens. Third step, factor out short-term stays. Some illegals come across, they stay for a few months, and return in less than a year. Those are considered short-terms, short-timers. And finally, compute the total number of illegals in the United States. In the handout you have, there's an article that describes the methodology and the math. I'll go through some of this very briefly. Census figures show that 90% of illegal immigration comes from Latin America, and 70% of that comes from Mexico. The Mexican government should be ashamed of the fact that 10% of its population has fled their native country. And yet, moving people from Mexico to America illegally seems to be the highest priority of the Mexican government. And you might ask why, and the answer is very simply $20 billion in remittances are sent back by illegals from the United States to Mexico every year. Forbes magazine estimates that only 4% of illegal aliens crossing in Texas are apprehended and prosecuted. Senator John McCain in Arizona said in 2004 that according to U.S. Border Patrol statistics, almost 4 million illegal aliens entered the United States in 2002. The question, of course, is how many were apprehended? How many got away? Well, in answer to that, Arizona's Representative Jim Colby testified to Senator McCain in a congressional hearing in 2004 that the Border Patrol figure that about 1 out of 4 illegal aliens that come across are actually apprehended. It's 1 out of 4 or 5. Michael Nicely, chief of the Tucson sector, U.S. Border Patrol, did state in a private telephone conversation in 2004 that it's more like 1 out of 7. Indeed, in 2005, the U.S. Border Patrol Local 2544 said on their website that there are currently 15 to 20 million illegal aliens in the United States, but real numbers could actually be much higher. So based upon official Border Patrol apprehension statistics, and assuming a 1 out of 4 apprehension rate, in Table 1 of the article that you have, we have 3 methodologies used to derive numbers of 5 million illegals arriving and staying in 2001, 2.9 in 2002, and 5.3 million in 2004. Well, when we factor out repeat apprehensions, by assuming that every illegal alien who is apprehended goes back home, is sent back home, and comes back again and makes it in okay, Table 2 shows that an adjusted range is 2.2 to 4 million. Time magazine at the time also produced a study, and they concluded that using the most optimistic Border Patrol apprehension rate of 1 out of 3, that 3 million illegal aliens enter and stay annually in the United States. It's a big number. Well, we forgot to factor out short-term stays out of the overall estimate. So plug that into the calculator, press the button, and we find out that and this is table 3 in the article you have, between 2.8 and 7.1 million illegals are in the United States after factoring out short-term stays. So based upon the above results, it's reasonable, entirely reasonable, to suggest that a medium-range figure of about 4 million illegal aliens come into the United States, evade apprehension, and stay here each year. That's about 12,000 per day. So could there be 20 million in the United States? Well, 20 million amounts to more than 6% of our current U.S. population. Our current population is 300 million, and 6% is greater than the population of many states. In 2005, the Bear Stearns investment firm criticized the Census Bureau and concluded that the number of illegals in the United States probably was 20 million or more. So in other words, possibly 1 out of every 15 people in the United States could be here illegally. Now, how long does it take to amass 20 million illegals? Using traditional Department of Homeland Security statistics and people coming across at the rate of 700,000 a year, it would take about 28 years to amass 20 million. But using the figures that I just quoted from this methodology, it would take about 4 to 9 years to amass 20 million illegal aliens in the United States at the current rate of entry. So I would say that intentionally low, static, and misleading government estimates claim that 8 to 12 million illegals come here each year. But based on this analysis that I just presented, it's more likely that we have 20 million or more here, and they come across at the rate of about 12,000 every day. Further analysis is certainly warranted. However, it is important to recognize the magnitude of the problem, the magnitude of the numbers, in order to recognize the seriousness of the crisis and the urgency for a return to the rule of law as demanded by the United States Constitution.